Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. Please gather all the things you need: yoga mat, yoga blocks. I've got some blankets back there. I've got something to drink. Make sure you have all the things you need. You're going to take care of yourself during this yoga session. You've got time to concentrate and be with you, and you stay safe. So settle in on your breath. Let's find that comfortable seat, letting yourself settle in on your breath, taking time to unhook from the world and all that's going on. You're unhooking from everything that's going on in your life to just be with your breath right here, right now. You're taking care of your delicate joints by not letting your legs and feet fall asleep and only letting your legs be where most comfortable. They don't have to be up near you. They can be extended, always protecting. You can be leaning up against something in order to help prop you up. And right away, your awareness, after you are comfortably in your seat, is to bring it to your breath and take time settling in. Some days it's easier than others, but the key is to keep doing it, to show up even when it's hard. Give yourself kindness, compassion, and love. Really treat yourself like a true best friend, encouraging, supportive, loving, definitely not mean, definitely not harsh. And you're breathing any way that feels good, whether it be through your nose or your mouth or a combination of your nose and mouth. And let that breath get full and deep. Not only does that deep, full breath keep you anchored in the present moment, keeping your mind occupied, but it also, it's oxygenating the blood, and that blood is coursing through you, so it's doing all of this wonderful stuff. So taking the breath for granted, that's what we do. We don't really take the breath for granted. We don't really pay attention to the breath or treat it with value until it is taken away, or you do have a hard time breathing. You just expect it to happen, in and out. Coming to that place where you're aware of that in and out, where you're quiet with your thoughts, not following the to-do list, the train of thought, really setting aside any thoughts of your past, any thoughts of your future, and to just be with your breath right here and right now. Let that space and that breath happen. Always making sure that you're comfortable, always rearranging so that you are. Start to engage that lower body as much as feels good to you. This is a tilt of the lower girdle. Pull the back body down, lift the front body. Press your knees away, flex your feet. Doesn't matter what position that is. You're always protecting the joints as you do that in order to create that solid base. So you're the one deciding how much you want to add. It can be a little, it can be a lot. It takes a lot of awareness in order to get that engagement. It's subtle, it's happening within. You really can't see it from the outside other than maybe just a shift. But staying with that engagement of that lower girdle, lower body, that's where you are grounding. You're grounding from within. Feel that engagement, that groundedness from within, that anchoring in. That's coming from you. So whenever you're searching for that, whenever you feel not grounded, I'm showing you right here how you can engage from the within in order to engage, to feel that. And then once you feel grounded, supported, anchored, This is when you engage the upper girdle. The heart lifts, the blades gently tucked down and together, not squeezing, just tucked and engaged, bringing the upper body up into that space around you that you're meant to take up. So you're stretching all into that space, not just up, but right, left, east, west, north, south, all the directions. Take up all that space that is meant for you. Still you're breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. So you're letting that breath be that 3-part yoga breath. You're letting those lungs fill up so much that you need to press your navel into the space in front of you to make room for those lungs. And then the breath goes into that middle third. You feel those ribs gently move up and apart. And then as the breath goes into the upper third, the heart lifts gently in the rib cage. And then you exhale, heart and chest relax, ribs move down and together, and then you pull that navel back and up into your body. And then the inhale happens again, and you fill up navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. All the while keeping that those girdles engaged, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. Remember, you can prop up against something. You can rearrange your legs and relax at any time, but try to feel that support and that grounded and that anchor from within, and then also try to feel that lightness and that lift from within. So when you're also searching around for that lightness and lift in your own life, it's right inside you as well. You are both your own anchor and that lift, that light. Let that breath be full and deep, and be grateful for that. And it all, it's just you paying attention to your breath, how you hold yourself. Hands can make their way to your heart in prayer position. Take time to hold your body the way that feels best to you. I'm actually relaxing a lot of that engagement right now to just be seated. I still have my girdles engaged, though, in order to help keep me upright in the moment and in the present space. Bowing, taking a moment to offer any intention you might be personally working on. It can be something I've already talked about that you can add to, or something that it's all yours. And then making sure that you aren't going to hit your arms, keeping those girdles engaged. Start to reach those arms, keeping those girdles engaged so you feel that nice stretch on your collarbone, the tops of your shoulders. Keep those elbows protected. You're not hyperextending. Hands come into your heart center. Couple more times. Inhaling, exhaling, third time. And then you're going to start to unwind. Your arms come down. If you're seated up on something, you can move it out of the way. You can let those legs unwind. Make sure you don't have tingly toes or feet. Legs move side to side, letting that blood flow, letting yourself wake up from that centering position. Make sure you're not putting any weight on your upper limbs as you move back and forth. And then take time to come around onto those hands and knees. Make sure you've got support for yourself. I like cushions, so I have a blanket. Sometimes I've got it folded up a couple times. It's not too thick. You want to make sure that you always can feel, the ground beneath you. We're going to walk those legs as wide apart as feels good, and we're going to press back into that child's pose, starting with that child's pose. Oh, I get a nice stretch down my back. I love it. I'm pressing my whole self back. I'm reaching my whole self forward. I'm not hyperextending those elbows. I'm going to take these sleeves off so you can see my elbows. I don't want you to hyperextend your elbows. You're in your child. You're breathing as full and deep as feels good. Trying to keep those girdles engaged. If you do have your arms reaching forward, the elbows resting on the mat, of course, is okay, because it's always, you're the boss of you. You can also be reaching behind whatever you've chosen, you are protecting your delicate joints, which are your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles, your elbows, your knees, and then and then the trunk is where the more, it's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for, hardy. It's stronger. It's not as delicate. Let yourself breathe full and deep, navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel, being in that child's pose, taking time to bring those hands underneath those shoulders to press yourself up into your stable table. Now you walk those knees right underneath your hips, hands right underneath your shoulders. We're coming into that stable table right away. Don't hyperextend those elbows. Have that nice slight bend, and you're going to start with that teeny tiny cat and cow to get that pelvis in that place of support, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. Shoulders are out of your ears in that anti-shrug move, and you're doing that shoulder blade pull together and pull apart, and then your cat and cow is more in the thoracic back. It's more in that middle back. Ahead, you stabilize those little engagements. That's you stabilizing the lumbar and the cervical spine. Breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. I think you get a better stretch. You might not think so. I don't want you to do it and force yourself. But if you try it and you think, oh, well, yeah, I do, then keep doing that because it's amazing. All right, let yourself just rest. I mean, like, of course, if you figure out something that feels good, you're going to keep doing it, right? Especially something that feels good that doesn't hurt you. Because that's what I'm saying. It should not hurt you. It should always be like, it should feel good or hurts so good. Press yourself back into your child to reset from that stable table, that cat and cow that you were moving. So you were moving in stable table and then moving in through stable cat and stable cow, inhaling and exhaling. It's like regular cat and cow, regular table. It's just, I'm making sure that you understand. I'm saying how you're engaging those girdles. It just helps to protect, I believe. So make sure you've got a little bit of room in front of you. You're in that stable table. Keep pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. You might want to bring your arms a little bit forward. You're going to always protect those elbows as you bring your body a little bit forward then into that knee down plank position. Let those legs extend, whether your toes are on the mat, curled or not. Inhale and exhale. You're going to take another inhale. Exhale, press yourself back into that child. We're actually going to move through that a couple times. So this really, really helps to engage that trunk as you bring yourself forward. And we're not coming up into a full plank. So hopefully it's not as much weight on your body because we are just getting it started. You are making sure that you're protecting those elbows, never hyperextending as you bring yourself into that position forward. And then once again, come back to that rest in that child. And then lift yourself into that stable table. Bring those knees, make sure they're right underneath those hips. You're going to walk those hands a little bit back. Really engage that trunk. We're going to come stand on our knees. If you need cushion, make sure you get it underneath you. You're holding yourself in that trunk. Here's where you're going to decide. You want to reach your arms wide, trying to keep that girdle engaged, or would it feel better in your body? And you are always the boss of you to just reach your arms up. And you can also think, you know what, I don't want to reach my arms up at all. That's totally cool too, but you're engaging that trunk, lifting that front body and pulling that back body down, whatever you've decided, whether you've come up wide or lifted up. And then you're going to bring those hands, whatever you've done, I want you to bring them down and then tuck them in your back pocket. So keep those girdles engaged, and now you're going to go into another little back bend, and then lift yourself up once again, bringing those arms either wide or lift them straight up, bringing yourself down. You're going to be very careful with your coming down to rest in that child. Don't just slam your limbs onto the mat. And then bring yourself back into your child, breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. I'm actually going to double up my blanket here just to have that extra cushion coming up and standing on the knees. Even though I'm holding myself in my trunk, it can be taxing. Remember, you don't want to make it too thick. You're going to come back into your child, hands in front to lift yourself up to come into that hover, kind of like, I don't know, upward dog position, and then press yourself back into that child, and then keeping that awareness in your trunk, lifting yourself up, only bringing your arms up when it feels good, reaching. Now we're putting all those moves together in a little flow, reaching up above you, and then coming back into an upright position to then go into another back bend. Yeah, it's 2 back bends for 1. Make sure you're protecting yourself as you back bend. It's not like this has to be this huge deal. Gonna bring yourself back into that table. Before you come back, I want you to move through that stable cat and that stable cow, and then maybe stay in that stable cow or come into that stable table to press yourself back into your child. And then you're going to bring yourself up to come through that again. From that, we're going to bring ourselves forward for that little up dog without hurting, to then come back into that child. See, it starts and ends in child, and there's child all through it. Pressing into those knees, lifting, bringing that self. You're in that back bend, so you're supporting yourself with those girdles, not hyperextending anything. Bringing yourself into that upright position, bringing those hands into that back pocket position, really engage, and then gently pull into that back bend so you stretch that front body as well. And then you come down, hold yourself in your trunk, in your table, and then move through that stable cat and that stable cow. And being in that cat, maybe that feels good to you to pull back into your child. Maybe you want to come back into and just in stable table. Whatever you decide, you're going to rest back in that child, breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully. Chest, ribs, navel. I'm going to grab a quick drink. Make sure you're always staying hydrated. Hopefully that little flow is starting to wake you up and you're seeing how the body is working. You're always protecting yourself when you move. We're going to come up into stable table. I'm actually going to turn to face the long edge. Here's where using the this points on your mat in order to help with the lining up. I'm coming onto the long edge, and I've got those blocks starting in front of me and actually to the left, coming up to stand on those knees. Make sure you've got your knees right underneath your hips, and then I'm going to bring that right leg out. I'm going to protect that right knee. I'm not putting the foot on the floor. In fact, it's a light touch out here. If you can, try to just have just that light touch, even if your knee is really, really bent. Try to keep your girdle engaged. As you breathe full and deep, keep pulling that kneecap up into your thigh, and then you've got your block down here on the left side. Arms are going to reach to just shoulder height. We're going to start with that that oblique curl, that oblique stretch to the left. So my right arm is gently coming down my right leg. I'm protecting that right knee. Inhale and exhale. I've always got my toes and my knees pointed in the same direction. Here I am. All I'm doing here is I'm not moving my trunk. I am just internally and externally rotating at the hip. That's where that lightness, until you feel that lightness, it might feel like you can't do that. But that's what you're looking for. All right, come into that lifted position. Here's where we're going to come down, and this is where if you want to block, I think it helps if the floor seems really far away. Remember, you're protecting these shoulders, these elbows, only if it feels good to you are you lifting. I've curled those back toes. I'm going to keep pulling that back body down, keep lifting that front body, press through that heel, and then reach to over my ear, the bicep over my ear, only if it feels good. And this is where I want you to pay attention. Is your head going down? And if it is, try to bring it so it is more even, so you're protecting that neck. Always keep that chin slightly tucked. If you do have that leg, and I'm showing all these little cracks. If you do have that leg raised, gently bring it down, always protecting, and then lift yourself. This is how, this is right here, this, that right there, that's amazing. You want to keep, that's just you coming up from that little baby hinge, which you want to keep doing. All right, if you don't have your right leg out, just remember that you had the opposite out, because now we're going to bring that right leg in and bring the left leg out to the side, and you can manage if you did the opposite. So see how I'm using, there's no fancy way to get that left leg out. Keeping that girdle engaged. I've got that leg, it's out there. It's like a little kickstand. I'm holding myself in my trunk, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. I'm always looking to get that pubic bone and that navel in that place of, in the same plane. Protecting both the kneecaps, never hyperextending. Inhale and exhale, and a little external and internal rotation right there. I think feels good. You're always protecting yourself, so always doing what feels good. And then reaching those arms, keeping that upper girdle engaged, shoulders out of your ears. You're letting yourself reach in that beautiful oblique stretch. Hopefully you feel it on both sides, but if you are reaching over your left leg now, you're going to feel it more on your right side. Stay with your breath. Keep pulling that back body down. Keep lifting that front body. Stay with your breath. Keep lifting that heart. Keep pulling those blades down. Arms come out. Remember, you're protecting everything. You're always protecting those delicate parts, never hurting yourself. Use the support that feels good to you. You never have to let that leg float up, only if it feels good. Inhale and exhale. It takes a lot of awareness. Your leg could maybe only be this high off, as long as it feels good to you, and then only stretch into that extra with that bicep over that ear, because you really have to crank. You really have to rotate and lift up off that leg. Inhale and exhale. Protect yourself. Coming back down. Always being careful. Bringing yourself back around to rest in your child's pose. Taking time to completely reset. Make sure that you are drinking water as you need it. Letting yourself reset. Stay with your breath. Inhale and exhale. You're always looking for that anchoring in, that groundedness, that support from within as you press back with your whole self. And then at the same time, you're looking for that lightness and that lift and that space from within. And that is coming from you as well. So both things are being generated by you in this yoga class. This is you adding to that, adding fuel to that. Take your time. It helps to be in that stable table, and you're protecting all of your joints. You're pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. You've got the pubic bone and the navel in that same plane to come into your stable downward dog. So that means that you're keeping the joints protected as you lift into your downward dog. And if you're like, I'd rather just be in that stable table, then be in that stable table. And then rest back in your stable child whenever. If you are in that downward dog, you're taking care of your stretches, trying to keep the legs protected by keeping the knees really bent, playing around with coming up on your toes, because that feels amazing. But when you settle, you're settling in on the balls of your feet, not your toes. Your heels are heavy. They may or may not touch. So the same thing is true with your arms. You're looking for the balls, elbows not hyperextended, always with a nice soft bend, shoulders out of your ears. And you are breathing full and deep in your stable downward dog, or your stable table, or your stable child. You're going to decide how you want to move to come to the front of your space. Whether you want to drop down to hands and knees, or you want to step up, coming into that forward fold position. Get those feet right underneath you. Play around with your balance. Keep those delicate parts protected. Finding that place of support And then move wherever feels good. Maybe it's a great big sway or a swing. Maybe it's your hands tucked in your elbows. Maybe it's your hands on the back of your head gently pulling. I love that. It's a lot though, so you want to make sure that you are supporting yourself as you stretch. And then find yourself in that forward fold position. We're going to lift up into all the way up. And if you want to come up in that great big reverse swan dive, keep pulling your knees up and then just step up. But if you're like, I better take this in steps, then come up. I can tell I need to. Come up in steps and then come to that awkward chair. And then when you feel supported, then lift and reach to come into your standing position. Only coming with those arms above as much as feels good. But the same idea, pull that back body down, lift that front body to find that place of support, and find yourself in your mountain pose. Coming into your mountain, both feet underneath your hips, you're finding the awareness of the balls and the heels, maybe the tripod, the four corners. It doesn't matter, whatever makes sense in your head, but engage with those balls. Lift your digits as far back as you can, then bring them forward for that gentle grip on the mat. Your toes do no work. Your kneecaps are pulled up into your thighs and your knees are not hyperextended, and you're doing that first girdle engagement. That back body pulls down, that front body lifts up. This is happening on the inside. This is those little transverse abdominal muscles. You are not just squeezing your glutes. It is the framework and everything with the muscle engagement in order to find that solid base. And then that solid base is where, after you feel that, is where you lift from. That upper body lifts into that space in front of you. Your blades gently tuck down and together. They're not squeezed with that, it's like you're squeezing a grape, like you heard a lot in like aerobics. They're gently tucked in, maybe a slight stretch on your collarbone. Nothing should hurt. It should feel amazing. I feel grounded, I feel tethered, and at the same time, I feel light and like I could lift right into the space around me. That is amazing, that I feel both grounded and I feel like I could lift up. That to me is amazing. Who feels that? You know, dancers, athletes, but you regular people can feel that too, because I'm a regular person and I feel it. All right, from your mountain pose, make sure that you're standing someplace that supports you. So if you need to move near a wall in order for this to be the most successful tree, please do that from your mountain, because all you're going to do, the weight stays in your trunk. I'm going to let that right knee come up. I'm balanced only on the left leg. You can rotate. This is where you externally rotate the right leg and bring the sole of that foot with the toes down or right underneath the knee, or you can reach down and bring it. There you go. Sometimes you have to reach down and then reach. Or another option, which I think this does just as much, I bring that foot to just dance slightly on a block, and I'm engaging that trunk, coming into that kneecap is protected. Inhale and exhale, not putting any weight on that block. I'm holding myself in my trunk. This actually just allows for me just a little bit more rotation of the leg, and then the knee, like I don't really have any knee issues, but I can see how the knee being bent this way as opposed to the knee being bent this way, which is more a little bit safer because it's in that degree. All right, I'm not just talking. We are here in this tree. You can reach your arms up. Try to stay with that awareness. You're holding that back body down, lifting that front body, bringing that right leg to wherever feels good, just to play around with your balance a little bit more. I like to, yeah, I like to make noises. I don't know why. And then let yourself just move however feels good. You've got two sides, so you're going to bring whatever support you need. Remember to come into that mountain. Knees are protected. You're not hyperextending anything. Don't let those toes do any work. Lift with that front body. Pull down with that back body and play around slowly. It doesn't have to be quick. Coming into your beautiful tree on the side, however feels good. Keep pulling that back body down. Keep lifting that front body, and don't focus, I didn't mention this on the other side, but try not to focus on something moving. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. Coming out of your tree on this side, just because you play around, challenge yourself, bringing yourself down to stand, shake it out, move however feels good, and then bring yourself to the middle or the back of your space to hinge. Keep those knees bent. Either walk your legs out and your arms out if you're in the middle, or just walk your arms out if you're at the back, to come into a downward dog for 2 to 3 breaths. Protect those elbows. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. Keep trying to keep those shoulders out of your ears. Keep trying to lift that front body and pull that back body down. Eventually you're going to be done to press back into your child. Stay with your breath. Navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And then bring yourself up. To come into just that easy seated position. Find that comfortableness of your lower body. Your legs don't have to be really close to you. They don't have to be all tangled up in a pretzel. You can have the soles of your feet together with your feet as far in front of you as feels good. Or not even have the soles of your feet together. Just have your legs kind of, just make sure that everything is protected, that everything is supporting you. And your awareness of your navel and your pubic bone, and you're trying to keep them in the same plane as you pull that back body down and lift that front body. So think about trying to keep your navel anchored as you lift and rotate your heart. Those arms are going to reach up. Your arms really aren't doing the work though. It's your trunk doing the work, and your arms are just going along for the ride. So you're lifting up on the inhale, exhaling, rotate to whichever side, doesn't matter. Arms can come down as you rotate the heart, come back through center, same thing. Keep the navel anchored as you lift and rotate the upper girdle, side to side. Keep protecting your delicate joints. Inhale and exhale. Solid, supported lower body as you lift and lower and rotate. I'm going to pause on the right side. I've got my right arm behind me. I've got my left hand reaching. I'm not grabbing on for dear life onto that right leg. I'm trying to keep my navel pulled towards the center, the midline of my body as I rotate my heart away to the right. This right arm back here, it's just like a little kickstand. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath to come through center, to then rotate to the other side. Same idea. Keep that navel anchored as you lift and rotate, and then pause on that other side. Your gaze really is wherever feels good. It doesn't have to be looking over that back shoulder. Remember not to be grabbing onto your own body for dear life. It is just, your arm is just merely there to help. And then bring yourself back through center, bringing yourself with those hands at your heart, navel, one of each, out to the side. Notice how you feel, breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And then the next place is we're going to come down onto the back to do just a few quick little bridges, and then move into, I'm going to get a little drink. I'm also going to have a not very thick blanket, but it helps with my keeping the back of my neck long. You are always doing you. Helps me remember to keep my chin tucked. Starting with those feet down, only lifting if it feels good. And I already know, I've been doing it for 30 years, right? I can tell my pubic bone and my navel are in that place of support. And then lifting is no big deal. But if you're like, I don't know, is mine, you can tell. Make the diamond. Navel at your, thumbs at your navel, pubic bone has your forefingers. You can then lift. This is where you're doing that teeny tiny pelvic tilt to find that place of support. I really have to crank mine. You are engaging those internal muscles. Keep those engaged as you move and rock. Stay with your breath. Each little engagement of those muscles, keep pulling your shoulders out of your ears. Each little engagement of that is leaving that muscle memory. Keeping that hip girdle engaged back into that bridge position to then lift into your bridge. If you want to lower and lift, please do. But here you are strengthening the back body, and then you are stretching the front body. Make sure those knees are active. Stay with your breath. Only roll those shoulders under if they feel good. And if you are one that knows that you could do a great big wheel or a back bend, please do. But if you haven't done a back bend in 20 years, I say don't have it be right now, right? Work up to that. All right, bring yourself back into your bridge, rock, circle, whatever feels good. And then back with those feet down. Right ankle on top of left knee, keeping that girdle engaged, reaching to come into that reclining pigeon. This is where you reach through the legs if that feels good. You can also have the foot on a block. Keep trying to engage the girdles. If you do reach through, try to bring your whole self down. Inhale and exhale. Eventually you're going to be done with the one side. I got the left foot down. Now I bring the right foot down. Move however feels good to then move to the other side. Keep pressing. I'm trying to press my back body down into the mat. I'm trying to pull that front body so I'm constantly engaged, keeping that engagement as I move into the stretch. And you can't go as far initially right away, but you can get deeper. And like I said, it's leaving that muscle memory. So you are then, it's leaving that imprint on your muscle memory, like, oh yeah, that's how I hold myself. Eventually you're going to be done, you're going to rock, you're going to circle, you're going to move, however feels good to you right now. There could have been something that I didn't call out that you want to do. Please take time to do it. Now is going to be relaxation. I want you to either sit in meditation or rest on your back or side. Excuse me, my lips are really chapped. And let everything that we've done integrate deep into your muscle memory. Here's where that happens. So let yourself settle in, finding your most comfortable spot, making sure that you are supported and comfortable, and just let yourself be. I will not let you be late for your next thing. comes to your body, your breath. No matter what position you're in, let that breath get fuller and deeper. Little twitches to the fingers and the toes. Gentle circling of the wrists and ankles. Then a bend of the knees and elbows. If you are on your back, take time to roll to one side. Rest in that fetal-like position, taking time before you press yourself up into that upright position, or not. Just wherever you're at, bring that awareness to your navel. That's where you started. So if you're looking for the beginning, the start, it's right there within you as well as looking for that anchoring and that rock from within, as well as the inspo and the light and the lift. It's all within you as well. And I hope you feel like you can access it a little bit more and it feels nourished. And I want you to take it forth and do awesome stuff with it. Hands can make their way to your heart. Take a moment to visit any intention you set. See if it's something you can take with you off the mat, and I encourage you to do that. And then namaste. Thank you so much for joining me.